All right, fantastic. Hello, everyone. Paul Tranny here. Just going to dive into, doing some color matching, essentially creating some fantastical scenes. Again, it's kind of like when you ever notice, like, if a photo's off, like a photo manipulation's off, these are just some checks that you can do to make it look more realistic. So thank you for joining me. Hey, Andrew, what's up? As well as Paul, Ahmad as well. And we'll click into this. Cool. Ooh, love it. All right. Fantastic. Nate Bartlett's been waiting for this one. Cool. Well, I'll just kind of switch over and show you kind of what I'm working on. We'll get started. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully the audio is okay and everything. And hello from Sri Lanka. Wow. Hello as far as Italy. That's why I like going at different times and just trying to connect with everyone. So like here's just, again, just a quick, kind of project that I was working on, right? So you can see the situation we have here. Did I take a picture of a real fairy? No, I did not. But I was also working on some different color modes and things that I can work with it. But how can you, sort of make these sort of scenes and make them look correct is the goal. So hopefully you like this. And again, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Paul Tranny, and I need to put some hair gel in my hair. All right, let's get this party started. In fact, what I'll typically do is I'll use, as you can see right in here, let's search for flowers. I'll typically start with some images. Oh, I really like this one too. This one might be similar. Let's open this up. Kind of starting fresh, sort of taking this image, and I'll just put this on in a new document really fast. There we are. So again, this is what we have. And what we need to match is we need to do a couple different things. So we need to do some matching of this light. And quite frankly, I found these as well. Hello, Felicia joined, and Denmark is here. All of Denmark, represented by Jonas, actually. Fantastic. So, and again, I wish I actually had these cut out, but usually what I'll do is if I need to cut out an image, oftentimes I'll duplicate the layer, as we can see here, and then I will just go in and go to Select, Subject, right? But how do we match this photo with something that's overall very purple and blue? So, Samuel, what's up? I see your comments there. Anwar's back. Thank you so much for joining me. Awesome. As far away as India. So again, that's what I've done. It actually does a pretty good job. This gives me my starting point for selecting, right? And this is actually pretty cool. So I'll just work on this one image right here. And typically I'll jump in and then I'll just start to refine this any way I want. It uses the quick selection tool, right, to kind of grab more of that as I kind of wrap that around. You understand how this works, right? You probably know. But again, since this works pretty fast, hold down the Alt key to kind of remove right there. And this is my two different phases. It's 1, select subject. 2, quick selection. 3 is really just right up here using the lasso tool, right? There's no substitute for the lasso tool. I'm like, all right, I need to really start to refine this. I'll come in here again, just hold down the shift key, and it's going to add to the current selection. And usually I'll just zoop on down the line, as you can see, like that. And I hope it's okay that I'm working on a different image because I think it's just more fun to, show you some variety, right? Nice thing about this, I'm going to go ahead and grab this and make this a layer mask. And since the title of this was not necessarily about selections, I kind of want to get into the color matching as fast as possible. But the nice thing is this is pretty quick. So let me know how everybody's doing. Emil, Elise is catching his. Elise could probably be a guy or girl's name, but looks like Elise is catching his very first live stream, which is fantastic. The power of these is you could obviously you can ask questions live, which you can't normally do as easily on, say, like some recording. All right, one last little part right here, holding on the shift key, just using the lasso tool. It's almost too exact. If I want this to be straight, I could just hold down the Alt key. And again, I know people know that, like Andrew Kavanaugh. Big shout out to him. Cool. Keep saying I'm going to be done with this, but I'm adding a little bit more. This huge chunk I somehow missed. Or maybe I held down the wrong key. There we are. Zoop. There we are. And again, the cool thing is since I'm doing, let's go ahead and make this a layer mask right there. Boom, there she is. All right, here it is, isolated. Shortcut key, Command T. Now I have this image, and I can bring it on over, and we can get to the color matching, and as well as adding, right? Adding what we want to. For instance, butterfly wings. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this to a smart object, right? This is our ballerina, right? Made it a smart object, so I could shrink it down, zoop, like that. There we are. And now I can do some fun things with this particular character, okay? Command T, flip horizontal, because I want it to go that direction. And you can see kind of what we're dealing with, right? Okay, so I also need to add, she is a ballerina. That is correct. Oh, I'm a lady. It's fine. Elise. So sorry. I'm an idiot. I know an Elise as well, but on the phone, a lot of people think I'm a female because my voice gets very high on the phone. So go figure. Next thing I'm going to do is going to add some quick wings. So let's jump in here. I'll type in butterfly. This is using CC libraries right over here. You can see all these various assets. And now I can pick out some of these, right? It's got some gorgeous ones. And again, what I did is I bought one asset. I bought this one asset on using Adobe Stock, and I got all the wings that I could ever need. Right, and I can start to take these and bring them in and use whichever ones I want. Right, I can decide that later. Let's try this one, maybe these. Do you like that? Open to your opinion as to what you think. Here's another one. Right, that's another one. I really like this green, and I like that one. Drag this one in. Cool, there we are. Turning all those off. Let's go ahead and attach these wings to her, right? What do? I'll show you what we do. Hope you don't mind if you just watch me kind of do this. I'm going to go as fast as possible to maximize your time. Rasterize layer. Delete that part. Taking this wing. I isolate the wings, right, like that. One on one layer, one on another layer, right? I'll convert these to a smart object. Converting to the smart object. And now let's kind of get these into place. Zoop. This is the fun part, right? Shall we? Let's tilt her. It's okay, we can tilt her back, but let's just kind of get these wings attached. First one, Command T, right click. I want to distort. Right, and then I just kind of have to determine the angle that's going to be correct in this case. It's going to take some playing with, right? Why did I make this a smart object? Well, it's because I can go in here and I can double click and I can change the color all I want. So typically what I want to do is I kind of want to still kind of match the color of the of this background, right? Which is blues and purples, right? I already have the blue in there, but what if I added a little bit of purple? So that's what I'll do. Just jump in here. Maybe add a hue and saturation layer. I'll shift the color. There's blue. There's more into the purple. And I'm going to add a gradient like so. There we are. Kind of like that. So I added that gradient, matches the photo. Saving that, closing that. You can see what happens right there. Done. Let me know if you have questions. Why rasterize before deleting the butterfly body? I had to rasterize it. That's a great question. I had to rasterize it, but it was already full size. So I just rasterized it so I could delete the body and I can isolate and just have one smart object per wing like I have here. right? So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I kind of know what I'd like to think that I know what I want and don't want. I can get rid of this ballerina altogether. I'm just going to clean up my files. There's the initial one, by the way. And by the way, you can see how complex this is all going to get. Look at all of this. There's just like a lot of painting and adjustment layers and color lookup tables over there as well to kind of get this to look right. Okay, so this is going to be my second one. There's one. There's the second one. Shortcut key, clicking over here. Give me a second. Boom. There we are. Fantastic. I'm just tinting these wings kind of like the same color. Okay, so let's get this into place like that. There we are. We have one, we have two. Let's save this. We can see right over here, they're both tinted the correct color. Let's do a Command T and let's position this correctly. I'm kind of working on speed today, huh? Distort. Zoop. Bring that up like that, at that sort of angle. What do you think? Open to thoughts. It could actually be even on this side. I'm open to see what you think, Afrosia. I do not know. I do not know what direction this should go, right? It depends on how open these wings are. I kind of like this. I kind of like this. Does this look good? All right, Zimmer, for just joining me. We're going to work on, initially I said color and lighting, basically, sort of like matching the color, the contrast, the saturation as well, because I have 3 different photos and I need to actually have them all match this background photo, right? For one thing, there needs to be some blue light in here, and you can do this a couple, okay, cool. I just need to work out all those colors. You could do this a couple different ways. Typically what I'll do is I'll take a hint from the photo. I'll select this blue, for instance. Eyedropper, selecting that blue. Coming in here, and I can start painting, because quite frankly, I want these shadows. These shadows should actually have more of a blue tint. So I'll select the brush. I'll take the flow down to like 5%, and then I can start painting in, just picking up that blue light in certain spots, right? Just picking up, parts of that blue from the background, right? You can see what I'm doing here. I could actually do a more drastic change as well, which I'm going to do in a second, right? Just kind of picking this up. Because what if I just take this, and if you want to do a quick color matching, I could potentially, check this out. I'll just show you this. Elise, I'm sorry there's not written instructions, but let me know if you just, if something's not making sense or if I'm not being clear enough, because that's often the case. Okay, so check this out. I'm actually just getting a chunk of the background right there. I'm going to go ahead and make a clipping mask. So now that chunk is on top of her. And one thing I can try is I can actually start changing the layer blend mode. So right over here, just kind of rolling through. Remember, here's the darken. All the sort of changing the dark hues, and then we have lighten and sort of changing the lighting. So this will actually give it a tint of that background color. Fantastic. All right, just reading comments. So this is what it does overall. We know that I'm giving her an overall tint of that background color, but typically I'll roll through these and see if this just kind of, see what it does right there. Look, this actually already helps out a lot because it's removing some of that yellow and adding some of that background. Another thing I can do is I can go in here and I can, in the interest of making it larger, I can change the color balance. Okay, color balance. So she does look awfully yellow. Well, I can take the yellow in her, right, and I can shift it to more of a blue, right? So that's what I'm doing, shifting it more to more of a blue, and that definitely makes it match the overall photo a lot better. Cool. Hopefully the resolution is okay. I'll try to zoom as much as possible. But that did a lot for it. And I can play with some of these other. I can, instead of having a lot of green, I can take that green and have it dip a little bit into the magenta. But this helps out so much so far with what I'm trying to do. Okay? Keep in mind, Samuel and Therese and Jeanette. Does Distort automatically deal with perspective as well? Yes. I mean, you're manually putting something in perspective, but it allows me to manipulate each one of those corners separately, which I like a lot. Okay. Staying in here. Let's zoom in. We're really going to sell this. That's the plan. Again, kind of threw that layer on top. That's not working that great. I'll get rid of that. Because color balance seems to get rid of the yellows and bring in those nice sort of like purples. Now what? This is the other layer I was painting on. I'm trying to actually select it, but I've actually painted a little bit. This is my painting earlier. Kind of actually gives it almost a little bit too much of a tint of blue. But not to worry, I'm still gonna sell this some more. Let's clip that. In fact, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take all of these layers, Command G for group, and this is our F-A-I-R-Y, fairy. There we go. In the interest of making everything easier to see, let's increase the panel options. Anwar, how you doing? Since you want coolness, since everything's in this layer group, I can kind of move it around. And I need to play with a number of things. In fact, like I did earlier, remember I'm going to put her behind this flower. I can go into select and do a select subject. Boop. Boom. Select subject. I haven't done it with this photo, so I don't know what's going to happen. It does an all right job. But again, it saved me from doing a lot of selections that I'd normally have to do manually. So this will be flower. You know. There we are. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to try a quick selection in here now as well, because again, I just need to get her foot behind this flower. So I'm just using quick selection to capture this content, right? And then I'm going to focus on the lighting as well. Wait for it, wait for it. There we go, boom. Isolate that flower, there we are. Moving it above the fairy. And boom, let's put her, again, just kind of behind it, as you can see, like that. That's all I'm thinking, rotating it around. How's this looking so far? Let me know. It's not bad, shrinking it down more, right? Might do something like that. Cool. Thank you, Anwar has a great point. I love where your head's at. That's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to have so much space in here, right, that I want to add actually a couple more butterflies. And so that is actually my plan. That's why I bought this asset on Adobe Stock that has, you know, it's the same model, so I kind of wanted the same sort of butterfly in different poses. So there's going to be 3 fairies flying around. Just working on the first one initially, and the others should come pretty quickly. Okay, so far so good. Since this is a smart object, I can come in here and I can clean up this hair, as we know, by adding select and mask, right? Boop. Oh, rotating and reflecting would work. There's so many fun ideas that I'm just thinking of right now. Because we could also use the puppet warp and kind of warp her and make her look entirely different as well. But look what I just did there. Super fast, super quick. It does enough to sell the idea. Saving this, closing it. Oops, I think I broke something. Let's go back in there. There we go. I accidentally cropped it. Oops. Let's bring her back. There she is. Just like that. Move her into place like so. All those shadows I need to add. So much work I need to get done. This is really the case for a longer stream, to be honest with you. Especially since she's at that angle, right? Command T. Okay, and I know somebody who was asking, Jeanette was mentioning this as well. Command T, right, brings up transform. I still have this, all these capabilities right in here. And you see how it just keeps my angles. Oops, I want to right click. I want to do distort. So now I can kind of distort this a little bit more because I don't think the angle's on just right. So since I've rotated her, I'm going to move this into place like that. Back butterfly wings, probably gonna maybe have a splash of this light right here. So there's a chance that I could actually take some of that. Let's create a new layer. Let's clip it. And I'm gonna paint a little bit. I'm gonna pick up this highlight, put that highlight right there. So B for brush, actually I to sample the color, B for brush, and I can start painting in here real lightly, right? Real light, like so. It's going to pick up a splash of that color. Another thing I can paint in is, again, all these fun little, potential little highlights on her body right over here. Let's crank up the flow. You know, adding that highlight right there and making it even brighter. Oh, geez. Like that. Cool, not bad. How did I refine the hair edge? I used select and mask, and then I used the refine edge tool. Okay, but this is typically what I'll do is I'll actually use a separate layer, okay, that I'm adding right here, and this could be my, my shadow layer. So I'll just call this, darken, right? And then I will never use black. I'll use just a color that's slightly darker. Maybe a blue. B for brush. Taking down the flow. And I can start to kind of paint on here. I'm not going to worry too much about... I mean, I get it. That's a little extreme. I can always come in and play with these blend modes. Look, color burn actually looks kind of interesting. But I'm kind of knocking it down a little bit. Making it darker on one side, right? Because we know that lighting is coming from the upper left, so I'm going to make sort of the lower right darker, right? Because right now she's just way too flat, right? Painting in darker with that sort of dark blue, and my color mode actually is set to overlay currently. Let's add a lot more right in there. New layer, that's all it is. Adding more and more layers that just kind of knock down the color to sell that idea, or knock down the brightness to sell it a little bit more. Hi, Johnny. Select a mask for refine edge, Shelly. I got a big thumbs up, big heart for that. I couldn't agree more. Another thing about this light, it's going to create like a halo along the edges. So that's probably what I would want to do right here. Let's just go ahead and create a new layer with a layer mask. And inside of this, let's move this over, 1, 2, 3. Let me just fill this with a color. You ready for this? Just so you know what's happening. There we go. I just added, sort of like duplicated that layer and then just added that white. I would never go that strong. There's about 1,000 other things I need to do because there should be some spill of that color on top. So many things to do. Too many things. But let me know how you're doing if you have any questions. Just people with fun comments is all I'm seeing. It's all good. I like it. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful Monday. Again, just painting in with that. This is another thing I would do. Oh, so many things I would do to this. Let's think about this. I'm just thinking out loud right now. Actually, I'm not really saying anything, so I'm not really even thinking out loud. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this right here. All right, so that's what I have. I think this edge is good enough right there. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up pretty soon. And I know it's not perfect because I need to paint in like so many more shadows, right in here. I need to sample that blue. You know, and paint a lot more of this in, to be honest with you. But one quick tip that I'm going to end with. Thank you, Anwar. It will take almost a day to nurture it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I want something to be perfect like right away. Of course, that's very difficult to do. Again, on a compressed time frame. But my goal is just to show you some tips and tricks, which is also why I actually put this one together. Because this is one I worked on just a little bit ago today, right? So this kind of sells it a little bit more, and it still kind of has some issues. It's a little blurry right in here, and that has to do with the hair. Some of these hair layers right here. See, I need to adjust this one, for instance, right? Could probably change that. Now she actually has more highlights. That actually looks much better. But this is the one that I was working on. Let's go back to this one, and I'm going to show you some quick tips that you can do just to tie it all together. Is to use something like color lookup tables, or even you can switch up the color balance. But basically we need to unify all these colors. So I could go into color lookup, and it's like applying a bunch of hues and saturations and brightness and different things. I'm going to go down to 2-strip look, and it does an okay job. Another thing actually I might even work on really fast, taking this, because maybe this wing, this edge is really sharp, and I think it should be blurry. Well, I can throw a blur filter. In fact, I can show you there's spin blur, which is really fun. So just like those wings will be moving sort of in a, you know, circular motion, I could do the same thing right in here. So we'll wait for it to load. It's right down here. We'll move this into place like that. See, and there's the spin blur. It's being applied. Wait for it. Let's turn down that blur angle, but you can see what's happening. It's blurring it based on this center point right here. Okay, so that's what's happening. I'll kind of move that up and take down the blur angle a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a hint of something. Yeah. And if that's not working, you can always go into, say for instance, tilt shift or path blur as well. Tilt shift might work just fine. There we go. Because I want this part of the wing to be sharp. And then I want the outside to be a little blurry. That's why I'm using this tilt shift blur. Click OK, call it a day. Cool. So again, change the palette. I need to work on the sharpening as well. Because again, look at this case. Look at how blurred this is. How blurred this is. Then she actually needs to be blurred out as well. And that's where I'd start applying more tilt shift blurs, things like that. Especially on the wings. But this is already looking pretty good for the short amount of time we've been working on it. Let's not forget my color lookup. I encourage you to kind of check out all of those. I'll end up with sort of multiple color lookups, and I'll just try different things. I'll go into, you know, candlelight cube, for instance, right? You can see what's happening there. So, oh, Afrosia, you were too kind. So Jonas, just so you know, this is being recorded right now and you can watch it at any time in the future. I'm going to go ahead and change this. This is another thing that's bothering me. Oh yeah, just little tips and tricks. Everybody works differently. But I'm going to use the smudge tool. I'm going to smudge this in. I'm just going to smudge in. Boop. This part, because look, I don't like how it's like the same thickness all the way around. The smudge tool, I can kind of just smudge that in a little bit and just kind of makes it look, I don't know, I think it like makes it, this variation just makes it look more realistic, right? Catch that edge, not the other edge. Try not to make it look blurry, but that's what's happening right there. Another thing I can also try, and I'm sorry I'm being so long-winded, I'm just really excited about this and I want to work on it some more. Fill with black, filter, render, lens flare. Let's throw a little lens flare in there coming from the upper left. Clicking OK, deselect. And then we'll go down here to say screen, for instance. So that over the top could also really sell this particular piece, as you can see, right? And again, play with that all I want. You get the idea, right? That little overlay, little bokeh action, you get the idea. All right, everyone. Valder says it's awesome, and I think Valder is awesome. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to probably be doing and messing with this like 1,000 more times, but hopefully you found this valuable. Another thing I'll typically do is add a check layer, which is basically adding black and white. So here's where I want to make sure the blacks of my added images, like these butterfly wings, match the blacks of the background. So those blacks need to match up. This is already telling me that the wings are actually too dark. So I need to lighten those wings in order to match the photo. But that's what this black and white adjustment layer immediately tells me. So it just really helps to, you know, just give you a different perspective on it, as you can see. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you. And now I'm probably going to spend the rest of the time kind of going through all these different blend modes and things, color lookup tables. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let's try Foggy Night. Ooh, entirely different look. All right, Alexander and Anwar and Steve, Valder, Afrosia and Samuel and Jonas. Hopefully you appreciated this. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Let's talk soon. Let me know what else you'd like to see. And I'm going to post this to Instagram later so you could see actually different color options of that earlier one that you saw. Because I'm kind of, if you could add some comments to it, that'd be a great place to do it. PTRANI on Instagram. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a beautiful day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.